Okay, so in this one, we're diving into advanced product prompting in LightLoop. So if you're a product designer or engineer, this is a skill worth getting right because a poorly structured prompt means that the AI is just guessing on every single design decision. And those guesses rarely land where a product designer needs them to. So if we look at this hardware design image here, you'll notice that there's a lot working together to make this a strong image. Here we have location, in this case, it's a studio shot, and then there's the background, which here is a seamless gradient, though it could just as easily be a flat color. Depending on the look we're going for, we might also choose to show the horizon line, remove it entirely, or maybe blur it out. And then there's lighting, which drives both shadows and mood. And of course, there are the materials of the product itself, along with the product's placement and angle. And I'm really just scratching the surface here. The point is that there's a lot that goes into creating a strong AI product image. So if we were trying to create a moon lander like the one you see on the screen now, and we just typed in moon lander into LightLoop here, we'd be giving the AI virtually nothing to work with. So let me show you how prompt optimization works in LightLoop and how to get the best possible results. Now, LightLoop is built around giving you control, and that starts with flexibility. So when you open the text to image tab here, you'll notice the prompt enhancer is off by default, meaning that you can type whatever you want into this little input box here, and the platform will just run with it. No optimization will be added to your prompt at all. So if you were to do something like type in Moonlander here with no other context, the AI will just have to guess. Now, sometimes that's actually useful. So for example, early stage ideation can benefit a bit from unpredictability, and occasionally a loose prompt will surface something that's worth exploring. But if you don't have a strong prompt yet, but you're looking for stronger output images, just flip on this prompt optimizer switch here. What it will do is it will take your input, no matter how rough, it will extract what's useful, and then it will rebuild that into a structured product design prompt with all of the details that the AI needs to produce a strong image. Essentially, you enter the same Moonlander input, but now you're going to get a much better output. Now, one thing worth noting here is that LightLoop can actually tell whether your prompt has already been optimized or not. So if you use the prompt optimization tool, set your environment to studio, fill in your materials, your finish, your lighting, camera angle, and other details, and then paste that generated prompt into the image generator, LightLoop will immediately recognize that this has been an optimized prompt, and it will leave it completely unchanged. So toggling the prompt optimizer switch on is a great way to experiment when you're open to letting the AI make some of those design calls for you, things like lighting, background, and materials. But when you want full control over the final output, that's where you're going to want to turn this optimization switch off here and turn to our prompt optimization tool, where you'll be able to get very granular in terms of creating a prompt that allows you to have full control over your final output. So to use this tool, start by selecting an environment tab, which you can see up here. We have three options: an environmental shot where the product will appear in real world context, a studio shot where the product will be presented in a clean, professionally lit setting, or an editorial shot, which puts the product in a more narrative, story-driven scene. So let's walk through a studio shot here using our Moonlander concept just to keep things consistent. Now, once I select this studio tab, I can start filling in my details here. So things like finish, materials, angle, backdrop, lighting, depth of field, style, product position, camera distance, and image grade. As you can see, there's a lot that we can control here, and it's this level of control that makes this tool so powerful. Take product positioning, for example. I could have the Moonlander sitting upright on the ground, floating in midair, or if I'm presenting an early proof of concept, I might place a miniature version of the Moonlander on a pedestal. Just that one drop-down change can dramatically shift the entire feel of this image. Okay, so let's go with the Moonlander on the ground for now. So from here, I can start toggling through these background options. So here's how it will look with a warm ivory background. Here's how it will look with a warm gray background. Here you can see an example of a warm dark background. And finally, this is how it looks with a straight dark background. Now, each one of these changes will give the image a completely different feel. Okay, so now let's jump to image grade and see how different looks hold up against the same background. So here's matte film, here's hyperreal, and here's warm analog. As you can see, these are three very distinct moods from a single dropdown. Now, one important note here is that these dropdowns are tied to this studio environment. But if you wanted an environmental or editorial shot instead, all you would need to do is switch tabs, set your values, and generate a prompt for that environment just as easily. So for example, notice the dropdowns here are different if I'm on the environment tab. Now I have controls for things like time of day and weather. Now, one last thing to keep in mind here is that once you have a prompt that you're happy with, you don't have to start from scratch if something feels off. All you need to do is zero in on the specific element that you want to adjust, whether that's the background color, the product position, or lighting. And then what you can do is you can just make your change and regenerate the image. It's a much faster way to iterate than rebuilding a prompt from the ground up each time. And it's important to remember that any prompt that you create is saved alongside its generated image in LightLoop. All you need to do is click on an image, click on this prompt tab here, and you'll see exactly what was used to create this image, which makes it easy to revisit, tweak, or build upon any of your previous prompts. In the next tutorial linked to below, we're going to take these product images now and we're going to turn them into flattened 2D geometry that we can then bring directly into our CAD software for tracing. Now, we've recently updated the CAD sketch tool with some really exciting new styles that go well beyond the basic black and white line drawing styles. So think 70s inspired NASA concept sketches, grid styles, classic automotive style sketches, modern marker sketches, and a lot more. So if that sounds interesting, I'll see you over in the next one. And remember, if you're finding these tutorials helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps. Thanks for watching.